Sherriff, the director and story creator of Misper, and Laurence, Tratalos, the writer and producer of the film Misper. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Very good. We're excited for the world premiere later today.
Nice. So I just want to ask, first off, what was your inspiration for this film?
Well, I think it was a couple of things, but mainly Laurence and I spoke about a unique take on a missing person story. So that was the conception.
Yeah, we talked a lot about true crime and how a lot of true crimes were very sensationalized and they were kind of focusing on clues rather than feelings. So we kind of wanted to do the opposite. We wanted to focus on feelings rather than clues and explore characters affected by crime.
Which is an interesting approach, because normally when we have the missing person, we follow the case, we follow the police, but here it's just like we get those and we're really looking at the staff here. So when you were working with the actors to create these characters, what kind of rehearsal process did you take them through? What kind of work did you do with this on the script with them?
Well, we love to rehearse. We've made about 4 or 5 shorts together, and we've always had a good rehearsal time. But with a feature, it's slightly different. It becomes a bit trickier. And so we only had Sam and Emily, which was great because it gave us a lot of confidence that, you know, these people are brilliant. And then everyone else, it was kind of trust and showing up and seeing what they brought to it, which is really scary as a director because you're like, well, you don't know what's going to turn up on the day. But everyone nailed it, you know, everyone brought their own thing to it. And I remember little things where, you know, Dan would say, you know, I'm thinking about doing someone who maybe had like an entertainment background and worked at, you know, as a sort of, we have this thing in the UK like hauntings, which is kind of little resorts where people do entertaining and they sing, and he had him as like a failed one of them, which was brilliant. And then Christine had a local person that she knew who worked in a coffee shop, and she was like, I'm doing a bit of her for Pam. So it's kind of just trust, and we obviously, Laurence and I are sat in the rehearsals together, and anything that comes up that goes into the script, which happened a few times.
And during shooting, we tried to leave space for improvisation. So we'd have like a bit of time at the end of the day where we could, we knew we could get a scene, for example, with Dan. And we're not sure what this will be, but we're going to have an hour with Dan and we're going to get something new and creative, and that was really fun.
So when you were crafting the story, there are a lot of different themes that come into play. I mean, obviously is the one of grief, but you also kind of tackled the theme of regret. What was it about that one that you wanted to kind of loop into this? Because the grief was so much, and then to add that other layer.
Do you want to go? Right.
I think, I guess a big part of the film is the fact that Sam's character, Leonard, doesn't ask Emily out on a date, and maybe things could have been different, as he says. So I'm not really sure what it was about regret, but I think we found it very, emotional, moving that he had this chance to ask her out, and he obviously really cared for her, and he never did it. And obviously this will stay with him forever. So we thought that was something that we wanted to talk about, I guess.
Yeah. I think, well, they all go hand in hand, don't they? This idea of sort of nostalgia and things closing and coming to an end and looking back. And yeah, I think we couldn't have had the story without that element of regret and you know, the hotel coming to an end. And I guess small seaside towns, you know, have a certain lifespan and they carry on, but they're not the same as they were, you know, in the prosperous times. So I guess it was inevitable.
Yeah, I think all the characters seem to have regrets in the film. I mean, obviously Christine Bottomley's character, Pam, at the end, she has the regret that she never gave Elle a lift when she was driving home. Dan's character, Carey, has these regrets about the fact his wife's left him. So there's just, all these different characters who are kind of outsiders looking back on decisions they wish they'd made. So there's something quite thematic about that, and the hotel ties in with that.
Great. So I want to talk a little bit about the design concept for this film. So I'm curious to know what your conversations were like with your production design team and your set decorators, because I'm watching this film set in this hotel, which is almost like equal parts the overlook from The Shining and the Hotel Excelsior from the original 1990 film The Witches. So it was this great aesthetic. How did you come up with that, find this location? Talk a little bit about that.
So, we knew we needed a hotel, so very luckily, a producer that we know, Carl Mason, he's very good at finding locations. He's just got the magic touch. So he sent us a list of 6 locations of hotels. The first one we went to was the Grand in Folkestone. So again, amazing look. And we walked around the place and it was just a gift, a storytelling gift. And every time we went and visited there was a different location. Well, one time we said, is there a basement here? And they said, yeah, have you not been there? So then as soon as we went into the basement, Laurence was like, this needs to be in the film. So then that scene came out of that, which I kind of love that overlap of things ending up in the script. And then in terms of production design, we spoke to quite a few production designers in the sense of like, what do you think about the look of it? And they were kind of saying you can't do this, because they'd not seen the hotel. They didn't really know that the hotel existed. So as soon as we found the right production designer who understood the spirit of it, the creative spirit, Violette, she totally got it and read the script and loved it. And then when we visited the hotel with her, she was like, oh my God, it's better than I even imagined. So a lot of it was kind of working with Violette on what we had already and her understanding the uncanny, unsettling tone and this dark comedy and the references of sort of Ruben Östlund and Roy Anderson and so what was great was I would come to set and I wouldn't know if she put something there or if it already existed in the hotel. So I'd go, oh, was this from the hotel? And she was like, no, I've brought that in. So that was like the biggest compliment that I could pay her. And then also in terms of the visual style, the cinematographer Bart Bazaz, me, him, and Violette, we just kind of worked as a really good team, bouncing off ideas and doing the best with what the Grand offered us, which was a hell of a lot. The spaces, the natural lighting, kind of the oddities of it. The doorways were kind of strange, weren't they? And the corridors. And
yeah.
So that was a very fun part of the film.
Yeah. I mean, even the basement, for example, was kind of creepier in person. So we went there, we were all like scared, and we'd take people when they came to visit to show them this basement area. And I think it's scary in the film, but in real life it was even scarier. You felt like, I don't want to be here, I want to get away. So yeah, I think that was just the fun of the hotel was that, as Harry said, we kept finding these different scenes to put in the film because we were like, well, this has to be in the film, And then if we needed something, like there was a time when we were like, well, we need a staff room, but there isn't one in this hotel. We looked around the hotel and we found this staff room, this sort of already existing staff room. So yeah, it was an incredible location that was a gift that kept on giving.
The magic of the setting.
Yeah.
So, for Harry, congratulations on your first feature film.
Yeah.
How's that feel?
It's great. It's like really exciting. We got incredibly lucky. The fact that we got to make short films together, and then we kind of felt at the end of film school, and I'm hyper aware of the people that have graduated from this amazing film school, and then sort of been in the wilderness, for 5-6 years and not unable to make something. And we just made this short film with a decent budget, and it's a period drama, and it looks very impressive. But we were very keen, and I think that's why we're good together. We kind of push each other, and we were like, we need to do something after this. So the fact that we were able to start this company and sort of hit the ground running, I graduated the film school in the February, and we shot in the September, and then in the April we found out that we were into this amazing festival. So it's kind of been very quick. We made the film and we're world premiering less than a year after we were shooting it, which is just incredible. It's very fast. So it feels great. We just want to keep making films, because you do it once and you're like, right, I'm getting, you're always learning, and it's so now we've got the itch.
Yeah.
Obviously our priority is Misper and getting as many people to watch it as possible.
Yeah.
But then you have that excitement of the next thing. It's always, wanting to work again.
Yeah, the dream was always making a feature film together, and then getting to do it like we did last year was just like, well, you want to do it again, And it feels, as Harry said, it feels kind of quick because he graduated last year and then we made the feature, but obviously it's kind of 10 years of me writing scripts, Harry making short films, and than us meeting about 3-4 years ago and just clicking and just being like, well, let's make stuff. You know, we just want to be prolific and make stuff, because that's where the fun is. I think, is being creative and being on set and pushing each other in that way.
And so in that respect, and I love asking this question of first time or new directors, but this is obviously something both of you can address. What was the one aha moment or that lesson you learned on this that you're like, you know what, this was something that was really good that I'm going to take with me now every time I move forward? And what was one of those learning curves that you're like, you know what, I want to avoid that hurdle next time?
Oh wow, that's a great question. Well, the positive one becomes a lot easier, which is being open and just being more open to creativity and other people's ideas, because that's how you make something really good. And I think we did a good job of that, of like even from the rehearsal to people feeling like they could pitch ideas in, and things overlapping rehearsal and improvisation. I think some of the actors were actually taken aback by how free it was, you know, because we'd worked with a lot of actors who had come from certain jobs where they weren't allowed to do that. You know, that just wasn't the done thing, which I think is the most exciting thing about independent film and us, it being our company and us being very creative. And then the thing to stay away from, I don't know, I don't think I had one thing where I was like, oh, I wish we hadn't done that. I think it was just, I don't know, help me out here a bit.
I think the good things from a production point of view, I think, which we do again, is shooting 5-day weeks, having weekends off, trying to make it nice for the crew. I mean, it seems like an obvious answer to that, but like, you know, some productions don't do that, and we just wanted to make it feel like a creative and open set. So giving crew the weekends off, not shooting crazy long hours, I think that was, you know, something we did that really helped us. I think it was a hard question, like what would we do differently next time?
I think it's hard. I think it's good that it's hard to answer that question, because we got incredibly lucky, and so there isn't one. Like somebody asked the other day, what was the hardest shooting day? And again, we struggled. You know.
It was maybe the basement, because again it was really creepy. Or there was a day when the light was fading and we really had to get the shot of her driving. But again, that's stuff we can't control, because it's, you know, it's nature. But yeah, I mean, something I think we learned on the film for this, and probably we took that into this as well, is that shoot outside as little as possible. So for example, there's a scene on the beach where Sam's leaving a voicemail message, which was obviously quite emotional in the film, and there was like the sound of drilling in the background, and there's just not much you can do about that when you're outside and you're a low budget film. So I guess it's always thinking about how much you need to shoot outside is something we take on board.
All right. And my last question before I let you go is, what are we hoping that people take away from the film once they've watched it and spent that hour and 10 minutes in your world?
Well, there was a lot of things that we wanted to achieve with Misper, and I think we want it to be a dark comedy in a genre that normally doesn't have laughs. So obviously we want them to laugh, and I think we talked about true crime and all the interesting facets of that genre, and we want people to ultimately leave the cinema and have a discussion and it be thought-provoking. And I think what's exciting for us as filmmakers is a lot of people are telling us that it stayed with them, the film stayed with them. So it's like the massive wins as a filmmaker with the first film. It's like people care about the film enough to think about it, and they enjoyed it, and they want to have a conversation about the themes.
Yeah, I just echo what Harry said. I guess it's kind of getting that conversation going about the film and thinking about true crime and the way people take true crime in, and I hope people will think about this film long after they've watched it, and maybe it'll even spark a discussion.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the festival, and congratulations on this achievement.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.